2023. NJ and LDN. MIB and Belo. The Leafs 4-2, coming off a 4-1 win over the Capital Gang in the capital city. Joseph Woll stealing the show, really having to contend with Alex Ovechkin all night, who was just lighting him up, who eventually scored his first goal of the season, en route to potentially breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record. That remains to be seen if it is indeed done. But hey, the Leafs score a bunch and they limit not necessarily shots against, but goals against. And that, in essence, is what we want from this team going forward, especially when applied to big situations when it counts the most. Mr. Augello, good evening.
Good evening, Norm. Let's just like to compliment and thank the Texas Rangers for beating the Houston Astros.
The cheaters.
Cheaters, yes. They can
get out of here.
They can go on a quick train to hell. But anyway, so, I mean, the Maple Leafs, a few concerning things about, I mean, it's tough to really find negative in a 4-1 victory. Right. But 4 goals on 17 shots against a team that really has had trouble finding their footing. So generating only 17 shots on goal. Now you can say, they scored 4 goals, but I mean, that's something you need to generate more scoring chances than that. But Darcy Kemper didn't have a particularly strong game. The Leafs were fortunate in that the goal that Washington scored in the first period, the Leafs coaching staff and their video crew decided after a timeout to request a review for goalie interference, and they got that. And then moments later, Morgan Riley scored. So it was really a turnabout in that situation.
Right.
And that once that happened, you felt the sort of proverbial air go out of the balloon with the Capitals. By the middle of the second period, it was 4-0. They had the game well in hand. And Joseph Woll was fantastic. It's funny thing. I have nothing against Ilya Samsonov, but this team has had the last goaltender that they really developed that has been a difference maker was 30 years ago, was Felix Potvin. And, James Reimer was a competent NHL goaltender, but not a number one starter.
Everyone else was brought in to do a job that the guy who was the heir apparent could not.
Right, Cujo and Balfour and then
J.S. Shiger,
Vasatoskala, Jonas the Monster Gustafsson. They go just down the line. Right. I don't know whether Joseph Woll is going to be a number one starter and the future hope of the Maple Leafs, but I do know that he was ballyhooed when he was drafted in the 3rd round in 2016. He's had a bunch of injury issues. He seems, knock on wood, to have gotten past those. He had a great year in the AHL last year. He played really well coming up late in the season in a relief role and played well in the playoffs, and now has played well in two of his 3 starts, and he really didn't play badly in the game against Chicago. So right now, if I'm Sheldon Keefe, I run with him. He played great yesterday. They play Dallas on Thursday. I play him against Dallas and see what happens.
This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, at the corner of Wonderland and Oxford, inside of the Forest City. If you're looking for a vehicle over the next couple of days, and then of course beyond, but especially up until October 31st, I am your guy. Big discounts on just about everything. And that's not just from us begging you to come and do a deal. Ford is applying some big delivery discounts on top of what we can offer. Everybody, Mike, wants sales guys like myself to work for free. And between now and October 31st, I'll work literally as close to free as possible. Legally, they still have to pay me. I know you don't want me to make any money, but there's a couple dollars in my pocket, but most of it goes back into yours. Let me know at Norm at Oak Ridge Ford. I'd like to see a few more likes and subscribes to my Instagram page. Same for Mike's account at hockeybuzz.com. Support us because we know that we're supporting you with content 2-3 times a week like the content, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all the support that you can give us. Puts us in a better stead, in a better light with the people who sponsor us financially. So believe it or not, as much as you kind of like to distance yourself from what we're doing, the more that you kind of be a part of what we are trying to accomplish every single time we put together content with likes, subs, then we can get a little bit more leverage with sponsors. So please do that for us. We appreciate it very much. 09 Max, a convert for sure. They gave up too many shots. Yeah, like 38 shots, Woll 37 saves. It was a kind of a bizarre game that way, Mike. The Leafs usually outshoot the competition, then get out hit. It was a bit topsy-turvy. That was a game they had to have, save for Ovechkin. That's not a very good hockey team right now. And I've seen some comments from OGs and converts, very surprised and pleasantly so that the Leafs didn't play down to the competition in Washington. That in and of itself is a real positive.
Yeah, that's always a concern. And I think the other concern that we've seen over the first 6, now 7, or first 5, then now 6 games,
right,
was the slow starts. Was having to rally from 2 goals down against Montreal, having to rally from 2 goals down against Tampa on the road. You can't. That's not sustainable. I mean, you can do that every once in a while, but you need to have a more complete effort. And they did. It's a signal of how bad Washington is. That they were up 4-0, and then Ovechkin gets the goal late in the second period.
Right.
And you're sensing, okay, there's going to be a run here. They're gonna try to make a comeback here, and it's going to be a hairy third period. And really, Washington did not have a lot of great chances in the third. I think the Leafs played better defensively. Woll made, I think, 29 saves in the first, or 28 saves in the first 2 periods. So he had a rather light third period, and maybe that's just Washington sort of being down on themselves right now.
Right.
They tried to feed Ovechkin. I think that they accomplished their goal of getting him on the scoreboard. He had gone without a goal, I think, the first 4 or 5 games, and he always kills the Leafs. But he had 14 shots on goal. He almost outshot the Leafs by himself.
OG's Converse are going to put a poll into the community portion of the Leafs Convo page on YouTube, asking about your impressions and your belief in what's going on with Alex Ovechkin and his run towards potentially breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record. So watch out for that. Just back to Joseph Woll, David Hayna. Hopefully Woll is the real deal. Haven't developed a goaltender in our system since James Reimer. David is definitely a convert. Echoing what you had brought up, Mike, there's a few others here. Calling him, if Woll can win in Dallas, I'll be filled with hope. That'll be a big test. There's a couple of other comments here. 09 Max again. Brick Woll. Yes, love it. Wilfred Witzke. Woll is a stud. A guy who's actually part of the equine community. I actually know a lot of people. He told me that the term stud does not really, it's not accurate, right? I'd have to look it up, but if you look it up on YouTube or look it up on Instagram or Wikipedia or whatever, stud does not really apply to a really good player. Stud kind of means that you're a dud in the kind of the equine horse world. So I try not to use that very much, but it sounds so great. Look who's back. Brad Tyndall. Convo Bros. What is up? Don't worry about Bertuzzi. He's not for now. He's for later, and he'll be extremely useful. Mike, before we went live, you threw out the whole Bertuzzi thing. They're kind of Sheldon Keefe and the Mix Master trying to figure out how to get him going. Tyndall just hit the nail on the head. And Brad, great to have you back, brother. Hit the nail on the head. He's not for now. He's for later.
Well, I think what he's saying is he's not for the regular season. He's for the playoffs. And, the way he plays is a playoff style game. But that being said, he's a guy who, when he was healthy last year, and he had a couple instances on the IR with hand injuries, but once he went to Boston, he was a difference maker there and played well in the playoffs. He started on the top line with Matthews and Marner and really didn't perform that great.
Right.
Now, maybe that's just a chemistry issue. Not, maybe it's just, there are certain players who fit on certain lines, and he didn't. So they moved him to the second line, played him with Tavares and Nylander. And, I think he had a chance or two, but he really didn't stand out. I mean, it's all a question of feel. It's
Right.
I don't think this is a this is a Nick Ritchie situation where like he's going to be on the third line and the fourth line, and then he's going to be in the mind. No, I think it's just they just have to find the right combination. He's a talented player. I think eventually they'll find a fit. Just like right now, they've seemed to find a fit for Max Domi playing with Kampf and Matthew Nyes. That line performed well in the third period against Tampa on Saturday. They kept them together. They didn't have a ton of chances, but they were, I think they'll stick with that combination. They moved Yarncroke to the top line with Matthews and Marner. We know he can play there because he played there last year. I mean, I hate to say it though, the one thing, in spite of the fact that all Leaf fans were ready to send him out of town on a rail, the one thing you didn't have to worry about with Michael Bunting is that you knew Michael Bunting worked with Matthews and Marner. They didn't deviate from that because it worked, because he was a good complement to those two guys. He was a playmaker. He was a little bit of an antagonist. He had penalty issues, fine, but he fit, and he wouldn't have cost a ton. But
don't you want guys to take penalties? Good. There are such things as good penalties.
Yes, they're good, right? But he was, the insinuation was he was a target for the referees. They didn't like the bitching and the moaning, the Brendan Gallagher stuff, the rat stuff.
09 Max Mike Bertuzzi is very disappointing. He can't skate and falls down all the time. For 09 Max, you're like my grandma coming in to watch the game for 5 minutes and just like singling out Tyler Bertuzzi for falling down. You know better than that. My goodness, it's like Marner gives the puck away to the other team all the time. Come on, that's just like such a a focused observation that's really rooted in bias. No offense, 09 Max.
Bertuzzi, he's like me on double run to keep his balance. No, I can't remember.
That's a beauty.
I can't remember what Leaf it was last year, but there was somebody who could not keep his balance and was falling down all the time, and you wondered what the hell was going on. But
it's those Lang skates that he got from Kresge's.
No, they're microns. That's what he's wearing.
Microns. Okay.
Go
ahead, Mike. Finish your point. We're going to get to some OGs and converts who have kindly devoted some time out of their evenings to hang out with us. So finish your point. I'll get some comments and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I just think that, not to draw conclusions after 6 games. Somebody just mentioned it in the chat. The leader in plus minus in the NHL is Justin Holl. That tells you 2 things. It's early and plus minus is shit. So,
right.
So is he a good defenseman? No, I think we've seen over a number of years he's not a good defenseman. Should the Leafs have regretted not signing him? No. It's addition by subtraction. Do I think Tyler Bertuzzi was a good signing? Yes. I just think right now it's sort of a feeling out process. They have to find the right combo for him to play. Will it be with Tavares? Maybe. I think maybe that's a better fit than with Matthews.
So Massett Atkins, who's got to have an electric car. Come on, Massett, get back to the internal combustion engines, brother. Come on, let's go back to basics. Out of Windsor, Detroit, definitely an OG. Bertuzzi seems to be falling all over the place. Why do guys like seasoned professionals who can't be in this league if they don't know how to skate at an elite level? Why do they fall all over the place? The observation is that these guys are either they're speed wobbling, they're wasted, their skates aren't sharpened. What the hell is going on, Mike? What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, Brad in the chat just said, he is playing injured. We don't know what the injury is. He's playing through an injury. Maybe it's an ankle. Maybe it's a high ankle sprain. Maybe it's something with his knee. Who knows? Maybe that is the contributing factor to why he seems to be falling more than he is, or falling more than he should. But again, right now he's off a little bit. Maybe the injury has something to do with it. If it does, then they should sit him for a game or 2. He was supposed to possibly sit a game before the Florida game, I believe, and he ended up playing. So yeah, that might be a distraction. But again, I think he's a player that can be a difference maker for this team. So I think it just will take a little bit of time.
OG's Conference, like the content, subscribe to the channel. We're slowly, incrementally moving up in subs and likes. You know us. It's the little YouTube podcast that can. We don't do a lot to promote the product because we're busy with other aspects of our life. But we come back midweek and then, of course, for the Sunday Spectacular and do our thing. But again, the more support you can show us, especially with the combo shorts, the more eyes we'll have on the product, and then the more we can leverage what we do with potential sponsors. And that means nothing out of pocket for you other than just being here to help us out. Season 6 is off to a terrific start. There was a question here that I wanted to get to. And the good thing about the chat is we have so much interaction. It's just, I miss stuff, and then it goes way past where I can reach it. And that's basically about it. But there was a comment about, there it is. Masadakis again. Question: any chance Mr. Nylander takes a bridge deal next year to get to the end of John Tavares' $11 million contract the year after?
Okay. If you're Lewis,
Here we go.
No, if you're Lewis Gross and you're Michael Nylander, who's part of his representation, why at age 27 would William Nylander take a 1-year deal when all the risk is on them? Meaning, if he gets hurt, the Leafs don't have to sign him to another deal. I mean, okay, yes, the Leafs are in a quandary because you've got a year overlap with Marner and Tavares. They've already got Matthews signed. He's going to have a pay increase of about 1.6 million from 11.6 to 13.25. So there's an additional $1.6 million that's off the books. Now they have players coming off the books at the end of the year.
Right.
But then the cap is going up. But why would Nylander do it? Of course he's not going to do it. Nylander is like every other player. That's a Toronto problem. That's not a Nylander problem. He wants paid as much as he can for as long as he can. He wants an 8-year deal from the Leafs, and he wants to be probably paid close to $10 million.
Right.
Why?
Pay Patrick G. Mafia, pay Willie. And this has been a who loves Willie, who's skeptical of Willie thing for the last 6 years. And again, I guess we could kind of slant or trend in the skeptical of Willie camp for the last 6 years. But by no means were we saying the guy sucked. I've seen just a much different player this year. And again, at this point of his career, it's not like, oh, you're finally realizing it, Norm. I think he's finally developing into that kind of guy, and good for him. If he ends up with the Maple Leafs for the money he wants and helps elevate this team to where it goes or where it needs to go, great. If he says, fuck off, Maple Leafs, I'm going to another team to make my dough, good for him. I know there will be a lot of Nylanderites who are hanging around the Don Valley Viaduct. That's their problem. But at the end of the day, I'm really, really happy with what I'm seeing from this guy. Not just a contributor, but a damn leader, and good for him.
Well, the whole Dr. Nylander, Mr. Willie thing that I have carried off the last few years. You've seen less and less of Mr. Willie, meaning the guy who gives away the puck or the guy who seems to not care at times. But he had an unbelievable year. I think it was 2 years ago, the first half of the year, where I said he should be the representative in the All-Star game. And then the second half of the year, he dropped off. He more like Mr. Willie. And then he had that little incident in the playoffs where he started to let up in terms of not going into the corner against Tampa Bay. I mean, last year he was more consistent. Do I think right now so far has he played great? Yes. It's a salary drive. He's with every goal he scores, with every point he scores, cha-ching.
Right. That's the thing, Mike. And sorry to cut you off. And that's the thing, right? A lot of the guys, the Leaf fans out there, and they go back years and years and years, who are solely devoted to this team because they are infatuated with Willie. When he leaves, is going to be a real coming of age for these cats, right? It's really tough. They are Leaf fans because they love Willie. He just stands for kind of that, that young player who kind of does it his way and kind of fuck the old school. And, to a certain extent, that's a really good thing. But then you have all the boomers and all the old guys who want more from him. And this is a way to kind of stick it to them. But at the end of the day, he understands that if he's going to get paid and he's also going to help a team win, you need to evolve into a greater player regardless of what your constituents on social media think, Mike. So as we've reminded the OGs and converts for show after show, year after year, all we care about is the blue and white, the crest on the chest. That's all that matters. I don't give a damn if you bring back friggin' Danny Marwa to score the game winner. All I care about is this team doing well. And if number 88 is contributing to the greater good the way he is right now, hallelujah. I'm absolutely loving it. Last couple points. We'll get out of here.
I'm not in the negotiating room with Brad Treliving and Louis Gross, but this is the way the Leafs should be approaching the negotiation with Nylander. Any other place he goes, it's a 7-year deal. With Toronto, they can offer him the 8th year. If it's 8 years at $9 million, that's $72 million.
Right.
If it's 7 years, then he has to get paid over $10 million from a team in free agency to make up what he would make from Toronto. If I'm Toronto, say, I'm okay, we're offering you 9.1 or 9.2 at the moment. Anything more than that is just too much because they need to operate under the cap system, and the cap is going up, but it's not going up precipitously, and then it may go up another 6 or 4 or 5 million the following year. But in this 1 year, they can't afford to pay Nylander more than, I would say, 9 million flat or 9.1 or whatever. If it's an 8-digit number, if it's 10 million, he's gone.
Right. Dennis Rodriguez, we'll see against a good team like Boston, Detroit, New Jersey. I like how he's included Detroit in there again. It always felt weird to categorize Detroit among the league's bottom feeders, but they're on their way back. Dog Chung, Willie is finally battling in the corners now, right? His general fans don't believe in that kind of stuff, but what's endearing him to the rest of us is that he's doing it now, and it's just kind of an evolution of a player. Let's see what else we have here.
By the way, while you're pulling up, Detroit.
09. So go ahead.
I was going to say, but Detroit lost to Seattle yesterday, so it's 6 games.
But Mike, that's the way hockey goes, right? The Leafs beat the Capitals, but gave up 38 shots. 09 Max, Mike is used to being cut off mid-sentence. It happens all the time. Yeah, but 09 Max, I don't know if you're not new. I'm the host of the show. I'm trying to keep the train on the tracks, man. Just, get a grip. You can call Mike on his WhatsApp. Patrick G. Mafia, 8 years is too much. Willie, for 6 is fair.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
That's honestly 8 years is the one advantage that the Leafs have in the negotiation, is the fact that they can offer him the 8th year. If you're operating on an even keel, on an even playing field, they're offering him 6 and the other team is offering 6, then basically it's whoever offers him the most money. Well, now maybe all the talk is true. He wants to stay in Toronto. Okay, well, show us. If you take 9 million times 8 years, you're going to be one of the highest paid wingers in the league, and you'll be making, but I don't think William Nylander is going to get $10 million on the open market. If he does, God bless him, but I don't think he will. So it's a negotiation. It'll go on throughout the year. Do I think it's going to happen during the year? I'd be surprised. Is it impossible? No. But, right now, all the leverage is in his court because he's playing right.
Right. Okay. So the Leafs somehow carve out a decent season. Nylander's at the forefront of it. They make it through 2-3 rounds, conference final, maybe get through, but maybe fall apart in the ECF. But they've made the statement: William Nylander gone in free agency. What did it mean, Mike? What did it mean? Was that enough? Was that enough? Knowing that, okay, number 88 got them to this point. They have the cachet now of an organization that's not necessarily exercised all of the demons, but a lot of them. He's done his part. He goes, makes his money. There's somebody else who will come back in to kind of fulfill the void. Would it have been worth it?
Well, in that instance and everything you just laid out, then the onus and the pressure swings back on the Leafs because, okay, we've had success. We've won 2 rounds. We got to the Eastern Conference Final, or we got to the Stanley Cup Final. Now you've got to bring back the band. You've got to,
right.
So you've got to sign, and then all the leverage is on, in his court, and all the pressure is on Toronto. And then it's possible that Toronto makes a deal, which ends up being bad down the line. So, I mean, that's why it benefits them to get a deal done during the season, but only a deal that makes sense for them. So if it, and I'm not saying he has to take less, because nobody's going to take less, but in a sense, an 8-year deal at $9 million,
right?
Like I just said, is more than a 7-year deal at $10 million. So that's the reality of the cap.
Hey, to get us back to reality here, Jason T. Nylander is a one-way player, and I like Will Furwitzky. The Rangers would pay Nylander $10 million. The Rangers would pay Simon Gamache $10 million. The Yankees would pay Simon Gamache $20 million.
I mean, first of all, the Rangers do not have the cap space to pay Nylander $10 million, so they don't have enough money.
Mike, it's a figurative idea here that they just. Well, remember Bobby? What did they pay Bobby Holl? Are they still paying? Right, is he on a Bobby Bonilla contract?
Yeah, no, they paid him $9 million a year, and that was because there was no cap. That was when the Leafs were paying Joe Nieuwendyk $5 million and Gary Rott. They're gone are the days that you can spend $9 million on Matt Sundin.
But this is where the number crunchers have taken over the game, Mike. The analytics. It's like, what are you worth? Well, if you're paid an amount that you'd agreed to, and that the organization's willing to offer you, and then. Sure. What the hell? Like, how do we decide that you're fulfilling that contract? Austin Matthews, $11 million. You didn't win you didn't win a Stanley Cup. You were not putting out commensurate with what we were compensating you for. Mike, the salary cap is what it is. I mean, you gotta be able to kind of rein it in at some point if you're going to keep this equilibrium across the league. But back in the day, and a lot of OGs and converts are pretty young. And not to say that I'm some sage, wise old guy. I'm 47. Am I a old bastard? I don't know. You make that determination. I still feel like I'm young.
Well, I'm older than you, so I'm the older bastard.
Well, we all know that, Mike. But at the end of the day, there was a time where the salary cap didn't exist. I know it's not like it's baseball. It doesn't exist. And we know that just throwing money at shit, Giancarlo or Stanton, throwing money at players, that's why the Yankees are euchred. Just throw money. It doesn't work. You've got to have a combination of it. But there was a time where guys were making stupid money, probably didn't deserve it, but it was fun. Now the salary cap is here, and it's been around for since 2005, so it's nearly 20 years. And it's nice to have, but all we do is argue about how players aren't living up to their contract. How many guys are? We never talk about he's fulfilled. He's playing better than what he's being paid. We never hear about that. Nobody is worth what they're getting paid, guys. No one.
I'll push back on that one. Like Jason Robertson in Dallas signed a deal. I think he's making 7 something.
They're human beings, Mike. Are they really worth that kind of money? What I'm trying to say is, no, unless you win a Stanley Cup, unless you win a championship, you really did not earn what you're being paid, Mike, because you're being paid to make your team better to win championships. And if you don't win, you did not fulfill your obligation at the end of the day.
Unfortunately, only one team wins the championship, but I can say that, guys like Nathan McKinnon, up until the time he became the highest paid player in the league for 1 year, was on a contract making around $6 million. That contract was, that made Colorado because, they had one of the best players in the league being paid at the level of a second line center. That's good. Contracts make it possible for teams to be much, I'm sorry. How did Tampa Bay win 2 Stanley Cups? Well, they got Steven Stamkos to take
exactly
because Steven Stamkos got to take took $8.5 million to stay in Tampa, and Victor Hedman took less than 8, and they get more of that money because of the Florida state tax. All those things are factors that that's just the reality of the cap world right now.
I know Florida's got such great climate, but it's such a fucking hole. Like, it's just unbelievable. Like, yeah, it is what it is. We got to get out of here, but the comments are great. Masadakis swap WN88. He doesn't even personalize these guys anymore. They're just, acronyms, numbers, alphabetical, digital, and numerical. The swap WN88 for Panarin. And then here's a good 09 Max. No thanks, Panarin is not as good as Willie. The thing is, Willie, like, it's just not William Nylander, like Willie. It's like you're gonna cuddle him. Like, do you have a stuffy that you go to sleep with at night? Willie, like, it's just like he's ours and everybody's against him. It's Willie. Like, he's a fucking player, man. Like, he's an adult. Like William Nylander. It's because of Dubas Norm, Patrick G Mafia. David Hayna, this is amazing. Remember the Muskoka 5? Man, those were some dark years until Matthews. Was Brian McCabe a part of the Muskoka 5, Michael?
Brian McCabe, Pavel Kubina, Thomas Caberlet, Matt Sundin, and Darcy Tucker.
Sundin, how dare you disparage the greatest Leaf of all time until Austin Matthews showed up. Both Norm and Mike have valid points. Jason T. Wait, there's a comment here. Wait a minute. No, it's no. I gotta find it. Where it was something. It was about Matt Sundin. It's somewhere in here. Whoever wrote about Matt Sundin, do me a favor. Put the comment in here because I have to rub it in Mike's face.
Matt Sundin, best Leaf ever. That was Michael Matthew. You're wrong. It was they voted Dave Keon the best Maple Leaf ever. So I'll go with that.
Right. No, I think it was Colin M. just mentioned that Matt Sundin was like a real stud. Wrong term to use, but we'll use it. Matt Sundin was a beast. Excellent player. Played in the dead puck era and put up 80-plus points. The thing I liked about Matt's, man, is he came through when it counted. He was a clutch guy. You're still pissed off that he didn't take the trade and help this organization rebuild.
No comment.
Were you not bald? Was your mascara running down your face? And what was it, 09 when he came back with the Canucks?
I don't wear mascara.
No.
Okay,
we should probably shut this thing down. Oh, real quick. So we've got there's Dallas, and then there's Nashville.
Yep.
And then there's the Kings back. That's weird. Another Western Conference opponent, but back at Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
I gotta think this team is somewhere in the 5 and I don't know. They're 4-2 right now, so 5-4 when it's all said and done. I don't think this team goes on a run of epic proportions at this time of the season, and I don't think we really will know what this team is all about until sometime into March, even encroaching on April.
Well, I'll be curious to see who Sheldon Keefe goes with. I would assume they're going to go with Woll against Dallas tomorrow because Woll played so well, and there was a day off in between. But eventually, they're going to have to go back to Samsonov. If this is now like an even split. I mean, if I'm the Leafs, I see what Woll can do with consecutive starts. So he played great in Tampa. He played great against Washington. Dallas is a whole different kettle of fish. They're one of the best teams in the league. They're a team that made the Western Conference Final. So it'll be a real test. And ironically, it'll be against the Stars with Jake Ottinger, who was Woll's goaltending tandem partner for Team USA at the World Junior in 2018 here in Buffalo. So it'll be interesting to see. If comparing the two, Ottinger is one of the best goaltenders in the league. So that will be an interesting test, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's, again, we live in the now. We take it game by game. Just have fun with what the team is providing on that given night. And let's face it, if they win 5-0, we know Michael Augello from Cheektowaga, New York, will have something to criticize. It does not matter.
Well, me criticize? No, I don't do that ever.
Mike, when I'm putting together convo shorts and OGs and converts, please support. Hit the like button. Remix them, send them out. I I scrubbed through the show and I can't find anything positive. There's nothing. That's your thing, right?
Oh, hey, well, here's a positive because you mentioned the Yankees. The rumor out today is that Juan Soto, they're talking to San Diego about Juan Soto.
Naughty 88, the two most negative fans on YouTube. LOL. The Leafs could win a cup, and Mike will be on here telling everything that they did wrong in the series. You know, Mike, that'll be the day, but it hasn't happened yet.
Hey, I'm sorry. They won a round last year, and if you watch the convo after they won a round, I was very positive and complimentary. Right. So stick that comment.
That's the thing, Naughty. There's got to be some dude in a jersey with a mullet in front of all of his posters who's just ranting and raving and rah, just with the pom-poms out. You can still watch us and then go watch them, right? And you can watch us and go, these guys are a bunch of dummies, and then watch them and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe they're not, right? So, and then we just have one more comment here. And again, we're having some fun on a Wednesday night. Alistair Arbor. Never heard of you, buddy, but he's watching us from Cyprus.
Wow.
What the hell is Cyprus? Isn't that somewhere near Greece?
It's an island in the Mediterranean. Hello out there.
I had a buddy named Cyrus.
Cyrus from Cyprus?
No, there was Cyrus and Trailer Park Boys too. So, okay. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back for the Sunday Spectacular. And just the way this thing is kind of just falling off the rails, I don't think we'll be back before then. OakRidgeFord.com, that's where you can find your next vehicle, especially if you're in Southern Ontario. Guys, I'm here for you. That's what I do, at Norman Oakridge Ford on Instagram. Follow me there. HockeyBuzz.com is where you can read the latest that Mike will put together for you. We really appreciate all of the support, the OGs, the converts, and people who are coming to us. We get bigger and better every time we put together a show. Maybe not this one, but ones in the future. So stay tuned and stand by. For Mike in Buffalo, I'm Norman London. Talk to you soon.